Salve, Regina, Mater misericordiae.
Celebrate the great solemnity of our Holy Father, Saint Francis. And this is truly a great feast in the Church because of what Saint Francis did, how he really renovated the Church. He restored the Church in his own person to a large extent, as the Church in the Middle Ages was crumbling in many ways through laxity, through ignorance. And Saint Francis in his person and all of his followers and his spirit, his charism in the Church really built up the Church and made it much stronger. And when I think of Saint Francis as a Franciscan, I think of him as a real father that we look up to. We look up to as how we're supposed to live, and also a father who is in our midst and who is looking upon me and looking upon us Franciscans and looking upon all of us of the Franciscan family as a father, expecting us to live up to our calling, live up to his example that he set, live up to the graces that we've been given as Franciscans to follow his example of imitation of Jesus. So in a father, he's a father in that sense, and a father in giving birth to this wonderful tree in the garden of God, which as Saint Francis heard from our Lord himself would exist until the end of the world, and we see how it keeps springing forth new branches in the Church, new branches that bring back the spirit if it's been lost, bring back the spirit of the charism of Saint Francis, and continue to get stronger and stronger. And we in our Franciscans of the Immaculate can see that in our community, how we are called to make this charism alive once again and stronger, and bring out the beauty of it, the Marian aspect of St. Francis's devotions and character and way of life. And this legacy of St. Francis, we are to carry on, to hold that torch into the future, keep continuing to look at our Father and follow him, and see him as our example and perfect model. And to continue to give the Franciscan order and the Church many saints, as we have seen. St. Francis is so rich and so true to the life of Jesus that he has sprung up so many saints in the Church, strong, great saints, Saint Bonaventure, Saint Anthony, Saint Bernardine of Siena, Blessed John Duns Scotus, and so many other, and women saints, Saint Clare and Saint Colette, and many women saints of the Poor Clares. And we are to continue to bring into the Church more saints in ourselves and in those who we want to set the example for. And Saint Francis is a father in that sense as well. That example, that perfect example of living that commandment that we are to love God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our strength. He was all for Jesus. It was all for God in his whole life and his whole spirit. Everything reminded him of God, and he wanted to do everything for God. As we know that he is that image of looking to the world to remind us of God. He used to look at the trees and the forests and the creation and the animals and see God, and look at a piece of wood and see the cross and remind him of Jesus on the cross. We look at nature and want to bring the animals and to praise their Creator. He wanted everything to point up to God and to love God in Himself and in creation. We have that inspiration to love God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our strength. This is one of the things that stands out in our mind of St. Francis, how he would pray, "My God and my all," and stay up at night doing that. And his conformity to our Lord, which was shown in the sign and the sacred stigmata. So we have the inspiration of Saint Francis, of his love for God, his love for poverty, his love for virtue and holiness, and his love for humility and obedience. So let us this day keep the image, his perfect example before our eyes, and strive to imitate him as perfectly as we can. Praise be Jesus and Mary.
Misericordes